Hey everyone, this is Joe Ryan. This is my presentation on fluoride. Fluoride is an ionic form of fluorine when it's gained an electron. This makes it more negative and it is attracted to positive atoms or molecules. The recommended daily allowance in the US for fluoride is a range from zero point 0.7 to 1.2 milligrams per liter. The upper limit being for children and adults 8 and up, 10 milligrams per day. After this, it becomes dangerous over an extended period of time. The upper limit for children 8 and below is 0.1 milligrams per day. Major function of fluoride, uh, according to all the sources that I found, was to reduce cavities in children by half. But there was a range that stated, of my sources, that stated between 25 and 60%. In common, all the sources that I found, they all said that fluoride maintains teeth and bone health. One of the sources went into greater depth and described how fluoride protects teeth and helps them to become stronger. And the way that it protects the teeth is to reduce the acid solubility of enamel in teeth. And this helps it to be more resistant to the acidic uh, products of the plaque that form on the teeth. But also, fluoride metabolizes bacteria in dental plaque, and it promotes remineralization of enamel, which helps the any porous places in the enamel to rebuild, essentially. And this same source stated that fluoride may stimulate new bone growth, but it didn't go into great detail about how. So the sources for fluoride, one of the biggest sources is tap water. Especially in the US, most cities are running fluoridated tap water, but another source to take into consideration are pesticide-treated fruits and vegetables, especially grapes, dried fruit, dried beans, cocoa powder, walnuts, tea plants, and leaves. These are important to watch because the level for fluoride, the upper levels for fluoride, especially for children under the age of 8, is so low that it's possible that they may become exposed to high levels of fluoride and may suffer fluoride toxicity. Milk and eggs contain low amounts of fluoride. They're not completely significant, but depending on the location, the amount of fluoride may change in all these sources. So, fluoride deficiency symptoms, the biggest cause or the biggest symptom is tooth decay, and it's just the breakdown of teeth caused by acidic products released by bacteria. Osteoporosis is the decrease in bone mass and strength. This one's important because as our bodies age, we lose muscle tone and we lose bone density as a result of aging. But for an increased decrease in bone mass, it's more dangerous for elderly people because it will lead to brittle bones and they'll break more easily. So it may lead to increased occurrences of fractures from falls in elderly people, but especially elderly women who are commonly more prone to osteoporosis because of smaller muscle mass than men typically. Fluoride toxicity is very common in children under 8, and it may express symptoms of dental fluorosis, which is hypomineralization of tooth enamel caused by copious amounts of fluoride during enamel formation of unerupted teeth. This is before the teeth show or before they break the gum line. If the child has too much enamel, or not enamel, if the child has too much fluoride, it will cause the teeth when they exit the gums to have different markings on them or odd shapes sometimes. in more severe cases. Adults may experience skeletal fluorosis, and this is caused by too much fluoride in the bones and joints and may cause pain damage to bones and joints. It's hard for doctors to diagnose because it's so similar to different bone diseases or bone ailments like rheumatoid arthritis or different forms of arthritis. And the symptoms are the same, but with fluoride toxicity, there's really no physical signs in a short term, which is different from other bone ailments. The nutrient function and metabolism of fluoride. Most of the sources that I found said that fluoride is only needed to protect teeth from cavities. There were a few that said that fluoride aids in bone growth and repair, but one source did say that large enough doses may stimulate osteoblasts and increase bone formation. It also stated that spinal bone density is increased, and no human studies have been attempted as of now. But this is very interesting because it could help elderly people who have had falls or who have osteoporosis, could help them to rebuild their bones, especially in the spinal column and if possible in the hip girdle, because hip fractures are one of the greatest factors that limit age expectancy or life expectancy for elderly people. Anyone who has had a hip fracture dramatically decreases their life expectancy afterwards. So the things I found interesting, the first one was how fluoride kills bacteria, especially Streptococcus mutans, which I just learned about in microbiology, how it works in unison with another bacteria to create the acidic levels that actually break down the enamel of the tooth and cause cavities and tooth breakdown. So it's interesting how fluoride comes in and actually protects us from tooth decay by killing those bacteria. The other thing I found interesting was the osteoblast stimulation caused by increased doses of fluoride, which increased bone density in the spinal column. And this was interesting to me because of the application with elderly people who have osteoporosis. Because if in the future we're able to find a way to isolate the bones that are affected by the increased doses of fluoride, then we may be able to reverse osteoporosis or increase the life expectancy of elderly people by repairing hip fractures or preventing hip fractures and other major fall damages that may occur or happen to elderly people. This could help people live a lot longer. So the media story that I found titled "It's in the Water: The Debate Over Fluoridation Lives On," and it's from USA Today, and the author is Jia Yun Tan. The main message from this article is that fluoride is still debated in the water, and not everyone accepts the need for fluoridated tap water because we have dental supplies now that are full of fluoride in the toothpaste and mouthwash. And some people may be concerned with developmental issues in younger children because of studies that have been done that have linked increased amounts of fluoride in the water to lower IQs and lower grades or lower output in schools and things like that. There have been a lot of destructive studies that have been done that are negatively associated with fluoride in the water, and several studies have been done that have shown that it may affect thyroid negatively, and these are the things that most of the people use as a reason or opposition to have fluoridated water. But on the other hand, some of the things that weren't taken into account in some of these studies was that some of the studies were done in locations where there's greater sources of fluoride in salt or eggs or different food products. and most cities in the US have low amounts of fluoride in the water. But it is important to keep track of the fluoride that you take in from other sources apart from water. And it's also very important to monitor young children who brush their teeth under the age of 8. They brush their teeth by themselves. They should be monitored to know exactly how much they swallow, if they swallow any, because the upper limit for children under 8 is so low, it is more possible for them to experience fluorosis, dental fluorosis, which is the most common among children. That's my slideshow. Here's my references. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a good one.